What I want to have a look at here is a new feature of the Copilot environment. Now, this is known as Notebooks, and to use it, you'll need a full license of Microsoft 365 Copilot, which I have in this tenant. So when I navigate to the tenant, you'll see that I have the normal opening screen here asking me information. I have my agents on the left-hand side there if I want to go to any of those. But if I scroll down here, you'll see there's an option here called Notebooks. Now, think of notebooks as a way to bring together common information and then apply AI across that. So, the example that I've got for you is that, I work on a podcast, do a podcast regularly, and I want to make producing and publishing that easier. Now, one of the challenge with that is creating show notes. So, if I go into a new notebook that I've created here called Podcast, the first thing we'll notice here is I can add some instructions to tell Copilot when it's using this notebook how I want it to respond. I can set, for example, format it as a bulleted list if I want to do that. Now, what I then do is I go in and add a number of references to that. Now, the references can be all sorts of materials. So if I go into add references, you'll see here that I can add a range of files. If the files aren't available to me directly in the list, I can select the OneDrive icon on the right there and choose from anything that I have access to via my OneDrive, including my SharePoint and my Teams. And the way we got to that was with that little icon on the right there. So once I've added my resources there, you'll see that I can also upload, and I can also provide a direct link if I want. So again, what I've done here is I've aggregated those together. Now, because the podcast is kind of a dynamic thing and may have different resources, different topics, I've kind of created the option here for a new page. So when I create a new page and add that to my references, the page is a loop page. So what I've done here is the first page that I've created in loop is one that is just the episode name. So that will change, on a regular basis. The resources is a list of the common items that I want to appear inside every episode. So these largely won't change. These are links to, my Twitter profile and other resources that are going to be static through the process. All right, so that page typically isn't going to change. Now, the last one here is the actual show note. So I'm going to post in here a list of all the links that I found that are interesting that I'll be talking about on the podcast. So this will change on a regular basis. So once I've assembled all the resources or the references here, like I said, they can be, you can create a loop page here, which is what I've done. You can add files. So again, if there was a particular PDF that I wanted to use, I could, again, upload that in here. Now, I can go and use the AI now across all of that information to make my life a lot easier. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in a prompt, and prompt is going to create a summary of the items here for show notes, and it wants to output that as a blog post. I want to have a brief summary of each item in the show notes and resources, and I want the summary for resources to be above the show notes. So I want my common resources up the top, and I want to add an episode summary at the very top of the post. Again, we want to optimize for SEO. Now, this prompt may enhance or improve over time, but this is the one I've started out with. So it will now work across just the references that I've given it. So it's going to, in my case, just going to move across those three loop pages, and it's going to create basically exactly what I want here. So you'll see it's going to give me, once it's gone through and generated all that information. So if we go back up the top and have a look at the output here, so again, it's created an SEO optimized podcast summary, and I'm going to copy and paste that and stick that into a blog post or whatever. So it's done what it said. It's got the episode number up the top here. It's got a bit of a blurb. Then it's got my common resources that I want to have there regularly. And now it's got my show notes exactly in the format or exactly in the way that I wanted them. Now, the other thing you'll notice here is I've also got an additional prompt down here. So let's say that I want to post this to WordPress. All right, so if I select this and I can continue on with this prompt, now what it's going to do, it's going to create the format for me to go and copy and paste directly into WordPress if I basically want to do that. So again, making life much easier for me rather than me having to generate it manually and get the HTML exactly the way that I want it. I'm able to use the AI to, firstly create that summary, which I'll be able to copy and paste, and then basically create, as it's done here, the HTML that I can stick directly into WordPress if I want. Now, another example of a prompt that I plan to use here is going to be this one. So, what I want to do is create a social media preview tailored for platforms like LinkedIn and so on. Okay, and these are the instructions. So, let's run that. All right, so it's going to go off and create that for me, a nice little summary here, exactly the way that I want it. And remember, generally in the case of the podcast, I'll be creating this prior to actually uploading, so I won't exactly know the URL. But I could go in once I've got the URL and modify one of those loop files, reference files, and it would update that. Now you'll see here that I've got the option to tailor the for LinkedIn, and I can create a version for Twitter. But what I'm going to do here is going to go in. I'm going to want to suggest it create a thumbnail for me. What would a thumbnail look like for this episode based on that information? So it's going to come back with a nice set of information there on how to create the visual elements. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this. All right. So I'm going to take this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the create option, also available in the Copilot area here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to basically generate an icon here. So you see that I've done it before. So let's go in here, repaste this in here. And then in this case, what I want to do is I want to make the style a bit more jazzy. So I'm going to make the neon art option, go in and create. That'll take a moment or two to go in and create the show icon that I can use, and then I can upload that and use that or tie that into the blog post, the social media tweets, all that sort of stuff. So, really, really powerful and probably a good example for you of how you can use the concept of Copilot notebooks to firstly create a silo of information that you want your AI, you want Copilot to work across. Remember that anything in the notebook is what the AI will use. Will not go out and look at anything on the web by default. It's only going to use the resources that you've given it when you ask those sort of prompts in there. So again, a really good way to constrain the AI just to work across the information that you want. Remember that you can create reference material via loop pages and do what I've done, copy and paste in the links and those sort of things, or you can go in and add your own files and material in there if you want. You'll see here I've asked it to create a icon or a image that I can use, and you'll see here it's done a pretty good job. So I can now download this, export this, and use this in my resources. So it's going to make my life a lot easier. I'll start using this probably from episode 348. But the idea is what I did is I went in, created a new notebook here called the Notebook Podcast. And then what I did is I added reference material. So in my case, I went up and created a new page. And I can add, like I said, references here if I want, being any files. I can also upload files and provide links in here if I want. I can also go in here and add content for the ones off when I do a prompt. You'll see that I've also now got the option to play an audio. So if I went in here and selected this, it would generate. So at the end of the day, it would be possible maybe to generate the whole podcast. Again, it at the moment only uses AI voices. It's a bit difficult to download or capture the audio, but given time, I think it will improve and get to the point where that is certainly possible. So something to explore. But if you do want an audio summary of the information you've put together here in your notebook, you can certainly do that. Now, the other thing to note is that all the chats that I've used here are safe, so I can go back and look at these at any point in time, and get information on what I actually used, and I can then query those even further. So really, really powerful capability. Now, the way we navigate and go top left here, and you can select all the items here. So basically, what I did was I created a new notebook called Podcast. I then created a number of pages, some of those being dynamic, some of those being static. And then I crafted the prompts to help me produce or create the things that I need to make publishing a podcast episode much, much easier for me over time. And those are going to improve, enhance as I get used to it and tweak them and probably enhance those prompts. But for now, in that simple process, it probably took me 15 minutes, half an hour to build this and have a think about how to structure it, get the right sort of prompts to get the results that I want. So I'm very happy with that result. And remember that notebooks are part of a paid license of Microsoft 365 Copilot, and you find that on the left-hand side down the bottom here under notebooks. Create a notebook, put the information you want together, then start prompting it, and the AI will work across just the information or the reference material that you've given it. So hopefully that's given you some benefits, some better understanding of how you can actually use notebooks. For me, there's a practical example I can share with you. Hopefully that inspires you to go and create your own notebook, start using this to get more out of Microsoft 365 Copilot. So as always, I thank you very much for watching this video.